Okay, thank you for joining us today on the last of four workshops, and thank you to Dina for hosting. We have today with us Jill McLean from Pure Edge, who is a great partner of the district, and I'll let her get started.
Thanks, Carly. Morning, everyone, and welcome to today's wellness session. The title is Toolkit for a Balanced Life. So, what do we need to feel good in ourselves? As Carly mentioned, I've been a partner with your district. I think that might be 5 years now, Carly. If not, it's definitely four. So, long time partnership. So, some of you maybe already know me. I've been with Pure Edge for 10 years now. We're a private operating foundation. So, in terms of what we think about what we need to be well, it's very different for each one of us. It looks very different in terms of what we need. But science and research tells us, in terms of our mental health, our brain needs a certain amount of things to be the best version. Oh, we already did me to be the best version of ourselves. So we're going to start off with a really simple strategy. This is just a strategy called a mindful minute, and what it really does is allows your brain, when it's got a lot going on, or sometimes first thing in the morning where you need to get yourself keyed up and going for the day ahead. It allows the brain to run a software update, and this is really important for the human brain. The human brain actually doesn't have the fuel to go bam, 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 bam all day. It actually needs time to rest and reset. So just sit comfortably wherever you're at. If you're on a chair, if you're sitting on the floor, there's nowhere you need to be to do a mindful minute. You also don't need to be somewhere quiet. There's often this feeling that if we're doing health and wellness strategies, we have to be in a quiet room, we have to be taking it easy. But that's not the case. This can be done in a classroom, this can be done in a corridor, this can be done anywhere. So just close your eyes, relax your shoulders, and just take a moment. Just breathe gently. So breathing in and out. Now, first of all, I'd like you to notice your heartbeat. What's your heart doing right now? So notice it. Is it beating fast or slow? Where do you feel your heartbeat? In your chest, in your neck, in your abdomen? And the next thing I'd like you to check in with is your breathing. What does your breath look like now? And it's a really useful tool to start to become an observer of your breath. So is your breath deep and even, all the way down into your abdomen? Do you just feel it in your chest? Notice your breath at your nostrils. Is the air warm or cool? And then I'd like you to check in with you. How do you feel right now? So try and name something that pops up. And oftentimes something will pop into your head. Don't worry if it doesn't. So are you tired, curious, excited, anxious, overwhelmed, thirsty, hungry? Just try and note what you're feeling and become aware of what you're feeling. So if you just open your eyes and for a moment notice how you feel. Now, the strategies that we like to use in terms of our toolkit for a balanced life are super simple: breathe, move, rest. But these aren't the only strategies that are out there which we will talk about. So, what does it mean to take care of yourself? Now, really, I don't necessarily mean taking care of the physical body, because I think the instruction's quite clear on that, right? And everybody has their favorite activity that they like to do, and we will mention movement. But what does it mean to take care of your whole self, especially your mental self? So there's a few things at Pure Edge that we know, having studied some of the neuroscience around what your brain needs, that you should have in your toolkit to keep your mental health at the best it can be. So there's movement and play, learn and create, sleep and active relaxation, socialization, and nutrition. Now, we have a short session today, so I'm not going to talk about nutrition. Just remember that getting, 2 a day of your 5 great things is really going to sustain your body nutritionally. So trying to eat fruit and veggies, I don't need to go into that. We all know that. So there's lots of thoughts. You can see if you go into Google and you start to Google what the brain needs, there's all sorts of different concepts out there. But when you read them all, they're all exactly the same. They're all saying the same thing: the healthy mind platter, the big seven, the corporate athlete, the 6 critical healing factors. Everything is the same. So let's think about movement and play. The brain needs a certain amount of movement and play every single day. So when we think about our toolkit, these are daily activities if we have time for them. So, and they don't need to take long. This could be 2 minutes, it might take 10 minutes, but it doesn't need to take long. So, having some form of movement, and it's movement you enjoy. That's important. That's the play side of this concept. There's no point in doing movement just for the sake of doing movement. Ideally, you want it something where it leads to you feeling joyful, where you come away thinking, "Wow, that was great. I feel great. That's done me a huge service, and I'm ready to go do other things." So, movement and play at some point throughout your day are really important for the human brain. So to that end, everybody on your feet, we're going to do some movement that I think is a little bit playful. This is standing kite sequence. Now, I hope you can see me okay. It's a little bit hard because at the moment I can't see the screen, but basically I'm standing with my feet slightly apart. So on your feet, join me, right? This only becomes good for us if everybody gets up and does it. So hands are by your side, relax your shoulders. And I want you to try and maintain a steady breath that goes in through your nose and out through your nose if you can. So inhale and take both arms above your head. And as you exhale, you're going to lean over to the right side. Now we're going to try and not swing the hips out. Relax the shoulders. So we don't want any tension. You might need to soften your elbows a little bit. Lean over and let's just take a few breaths over here. Now what this is doing is working the postural muscles of our body. So we're getting a really good hit into a big muscle group. Try and breathe in and out. Draw your tummy muscles in a little bit. That's going to help support your low back. If you want to soften the knees slightly, you can. Breathe in and breathe out. Can you reach a little bit further? Oh, it should feel good to stretch the side of your body, especially first thing in the morning. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, rise up. Breathe out, relax the shoulders again. So trying to avoid tension around the neck, the throat, and the shoulders is helpful here. So take a breath in, and as you breathe out, let's go to the other side. Now, don't expect the right and the left to be the same. They're going to be significantly different. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Breathe in. Breathe out. Draw the tummy in, support the lower back. Can you reach a little bit further? Maybe you need to ease off a little bit. That's fine. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, rise up. And as you breathe out, just release your hands. And for a moment, just notice how you feel. Observe any sensations in your body. Maybe that was hard work. Perhaps the muscles shook a little bit. Maybe it felt really good. So when we talk about what the body needs, it doesn't need to be a lot, right? Look at this, just 11 minutes of exercise can reverse the health effects of sitting all day. So sitting all day can be really challenging for the body. And that's at any age. This isn't necessarily adult related, right? Kids too need to have some movement in their day to help their body better function and also help the brain better function. So the other piece that we talked about is learn and create. The brain needs some time to be creative. And I don't mean that you're going to start taking up painting and you're going to become an artist. Being creative is super simple. You'll notice a lot of people doodle. They make these beautiful doodles. That's being creative. People like to make things, knit, crochet, baking, making anything, origami, just folding bits of paper, making paper aeroplanes. All these little tiny, simple little things that we do are creative. And we hope also that as you're creating, you're learning. So perhaps if you take up something like knitting, right, in the beginning, you can only do plain stitch. And then after a while, you're doing puddle stitch. And then after a while, you're casting on and casting off, right? So as you're being creative, your brain is learning. And what that is neuroplasticity. So we're creating new neurological pathways in the brain, which is really good in terms of enhancing our capacity to learn. So trying to find some pockets in your day where you can be creative will be really helpful. As we're going through this session, please, I can't see who's jumped on, but if you have any questions, unmute yourself and ask. I'm happy to answer any questions that come up. a huge important part of who we are as human beings is to connect with other people. And having lived through a pandemic, we have all now seen how detrimental it was for human beings to be separated from each other. We need connection in our life. We need people. Have you ever been having a day where you're a little bit like humdrum, you're not feeling your best, and you perhaps walk into the staff room or you walk in to a classroom and some of your colleagues are sitting chatting and they're laughing, and you walk over and you join and you chit chat, laugh, okay, and off you go, get on with your day. All of a sudden, when you walk away, you realize, you know what? I feel a little bit brighter. Or you meet someone you haven't seen for a while, you bump into them on the street, you're like, hey, how are you? You notice when you walk away from that interaction, good, you feel uplifted. There's quite a lot of studies now that show there's a real link between friendship and longevity in terms of our life. So those people who have friendships in their life that are meaningful to them, that adds connection in their life, really help them live longer and healthier lives. So socialization for human beings is really important. And I'm going to repeat what I said in the last two slides: at any age, right? So, you could be in your 60s and decide to work on your toolkit for a balanced life, and it will still have a positive impact. By the same token, you could be 6 and work on it, and it will serve you well for all of your life. Now, a hugely important component, which I think you'll all understand and know about, is sleep. If we don't get enough sleep, it's really detrimental to what our brain can do every single day. We have trouble focusing, we have trouble paying attention, remembering, thinking. Our problem solving capacity is impaired. So make no mistake about it, sleep is so important to the human body. And it's also important for the development of a young brain. When a young brain is developing in those formative years, it's changing at such a rate, up until our 20s. There's this constant changing in the brain. The brain really needs sleep to be able to be the best version of itself. We did a research study along with Stanford, and what we found is that kids, because the study was on kids, that kids who received interventions in school in terms of breathe, move, and rest strategies, their sleep was improved. They gained 74 minutes of sleep per night, and 34 minutes of that was REM, which is the really deep, really good sleep. So getting sleep is important for the development and the health of our minds. So just bearing that in mind, when you haven't had a good night's sleep, cut yourself some slack, right? Be like, oh yeah, I am not my best self today. I haven't had enough sleep. To that end, you can help your body if you feel sleep deprived by doing something else. So maybe take a few minutes doing something creative. Do a breathe, move, or rest strategy to help reset your brain, and maybe do that 3 or 4 times in the day to just help the brain get through the day, and hope that the next day that you manage to get a better night's sleep. I'm sure I don't need to tell you, but I'm going to hit on it anyway. Keep away from your screen come bedtime. Have some time where you have a rule that you switch your screen off at least an hour before you go to bed, if not more, because you're going to find that helps you get into sleep quicker and also get into REM sleep better. So while we're talking about sleep, sleep's one thing, right? It's really important for us, as I mentioned. But so is something called active relaxation, right? And so what we know is that when you take a minute out of your day, and it seems counterintuitive, you're busy, you're on the go, you have things to get done, you've got tasks, you've got classes, you've got kids, you've got, and then you've got your own family. It seems counterintuitive to stop what you're doing and take some active rest. But studies are pretty clear, is that when we take some time to have active relaxation, so you're not sleeping, but you're actually giving your body permission to rest, what happens is that the brain shifts into rest and digest, right, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. That's where everything slows down a little bit, everything settles. We pump good hormones into the body that help us feel a little bit more energized, help us feel motivated and inspired. And this is particularly useful if you're having a stressful day. Now, active relaxation can look like the picture you see in front of you. It can be, some lying on the floor or just sitting on a comfy chair, closing your eyes, taking a few minutes not to look at a screen, not to do anything engaging, right? So we're trying to unengage really with our environment, but it doesn't need to be so complicated. People take active relaxation just by stopping what they're doing for a moment. We have a few strategies, like one, for example, is where we use thumb staring. So you take your thumbs and you just stare at your thumbs for a few moments. And what that is doing is giving the eyes something to focus on. It's giving us a moment where we've stopped doing and we're just focusing on our bodies. So let's give thumb staring a go, and then we're going to try another form of relaxation, because thumb staring is not for everyone. Some people find it hard to focus on a thumb. I've also seen people, and this, isn't conducive to a school environment, but in your home, people use candles to stare at because they like the flickering light. So I like to clasp my hands. You don't have to. You can just put your hands like this. You're just going to press your thumbs together. Set your hands on the desk in front of you or in your lap. Drop your gaze. And for 1 minute, I'll set a timer. We're just going to breathe in and out through your nose and just try and stay focused at your thumbs. Now, if your eyes start to gaze around the room, it's fine. If you notice you're distracted, it's fine. Bring yourself back just to staring at your thumbs, okay? So relax your shoulders and let's let the minute start now. Three, two, one. And just slowly bring your attention back to the screen. There's a couple of things you might notice here. You might notice that your eyes or your focus gets a little bit fuzzy. It's normal. As the eyes change and contract, you might start to notice. You might notice that you blink more regularly. Again, normal. The eyes are not sure why they're not allowed to move around, why they can't jump from thing to thing, from um, observing. And that's the brain doing that. The brain saying, hey, wait, what are we doing? Right. And so you might also notice boredom is something you feel. You're sitting and go, why am I doing this? What is this even about? And so that is the naughty side of your brain being like, hey, talk to me, engage with me. What is this sitting here staring at the thumbs? This is not what we want to do. Let's get up, let's walk around, let's look around, let's do something, right? Or let's look at the screen, let's check Facebook, what's on Instagram. That's the brain. And so those are typical things that you might see when you try to do active relaxation. The other one I'd like you to try, and this is super easy to do anywhere at all, waiting to pick up your kids, dropping off, you're sitting in the car, as long as you're not driving, of course, but when you're parked up. And this is rest your eyes. So this is where we have a resting activity that actually we're not focusing on something. We're just trying to be quiet. So what I want you to do is take your hands and rub them together. Now, as you rub your palms together, you're going to feel heat coming in the palm of your hand. So let's just give a little rub with the hand. Start to feel this heat between the palm of the hands. And if it doesn't feel like it's warming up, maybe just go a little bit faster. And then we're going to take the hands and just place them over your eyes. Close your eyes or keep them open, it doesn't matter. And then just let the heat from your palms radiate into the eye area. And we're just going to stay here until the warmth of the hands really starts to dissipate. Release the hands and let's give it another go. So rub the hands together. Nice and warm. Get some heat going and take the hands, place them over the eyes, relax the shoulders, the face, the neck, the jaw. Focus on the warmth of your hands and focus on your breath. Release one last time. So the more you do it, the warmer the hands get, right? And so with every time we're doing it, we're getting a little bit more rest into the body, more warmth into the eye area. And just cover your eyes last time. Release your hands. And for a moment, just notice how you feel. Just observe what happens when you take a moment to take rest. It's really lovely to notice the difference of what calm, rest, steady, focusing on your breath feels like, and what busy, crazy, excited, on the go feels like, right? So that when we get too much of the crazy busy, we then think, oh, I noticed the difference, and I'm going to take some of the calming time. It takes time. It takes time to change habits. It takes time to build healthy habits. I'm not suggesting that you leave, our half-hour session together and be like, oh, I've got to learn and create and I've got to play and I've got to be more social and right? That just seems a little bit crazy. Take your time, find things that resonate with you, but know that you have to persevere, and repetition's good. So find a few simple strategies that resonate with you, or some games, or something creative that resonates with you. And you'll find that you get actually more motivated the more you do it. This is really interesting, right? The average time it takes to develop a new habit is 66 days, but that varies on age and what the habit is you're trying to create. But the average pattern, it could be anything from 18 to 200, but and the average for most of us is around 66 days. That's a long time it takes for your brain to develop new neurological pathways for a good habit. So, as we think about closing out this session, I'd like you to just, oh, yeah, we're good on time. I'd like you to just ask yourself and take this away with you as your thought for today, right? You're just closing out this session. Which of the categories of your toolkit, looking at the screen in front of you, do you think, yeah, I hit on that? Like, I'm really social. I go to a book club, I see my girlfriends once a week, I play football with the lads. Like, you're good at that. But maybe I'm not very good at taking active relaxation. And yeah, I need to do something creative. I need to find an outlet for my creativity, right? So finding what you feel good about and finding where you need to improve on will really help you build on your toolkit. So yeah, just something to think about. Your thought for today. What do you feel good about in your toolkit? Where are you like, yeah, I'm hitting all the marks there, but where do I need some work? The neuroscience is pretty clear. How we think is 100% affected by how we feel. So everything we put into our day, all the interactions that we have are really impacted by how we feel. And if we're taking care of our toolkit for a balanced life, then we feel better. And then that improves our capacity really to do everything that we want to do. That slide about resilience is for our next session, was my thought for that. But if you need any further information, pureedgeinc.org is where you will find it. It was my pleasure to be here this morning. If anyone's got any questions, please unmute yourself and ask. And if not, you can reach out via, I'm going to pause the timer. You can reach out via our website, or you can go on the website and have a look to find some other strategies that might resonate with you. So thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Take care, take self-care, and have a good day.
Thank you, Gil.
You're very welcome. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jill.
Very
Wonderful as
helpful.
always.
Thank you. So helpful.
Thank you.
Have a
Have a
great
good
day.
day. Bye-bye. Bye.